Our next question comes from our friend Alexander, who says, are neck snaps or instant bone snaps real? Why do we see them in movies, but we never see them in MMA or Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu tournaments? I'm pretty sure there's no rule against these moves. In MMA, you are correct. There is no rule against neck-breaking techniques, also called neck cranks. In Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, at least in the IBJJF, neck cranks or neck-breaking techniques are illegal. They'll get you instantly disqualified. But in MMA, perfectly legal. Some other submission grappling rule sets allow for neck cranks and neck-breaking techniques. For example, catch wrestling, catch as catch can, allows neck-breaking neck cranks. Why don't you ever see them? Well, you might not know that you're looking at a neck crank, because what we see in the movie is garbage, absolute garbage. That's not how neck breaking works. The Hollywood Ninja neck snap, I made this whole video about it. Made a couple of them, actually. One of my MMA fighters try women's self-defense technique videos where this lady says, all you have to do is walk up to the bad guy and break his neck like a ninja in a Hollywood movie. That's not how it works. And I made this other video where I demonstrate legitimate neck-breaking techniques. And they're not as hard to do as you might think, but it doesn't work like that instant neck snap type of thing. It's more like, it looks kind of like a goofy headlock. For example, doing the gravet, a catch wrestling technique. I'll try to remember to put up a link to that one. The twister, the wrestler's guillotine. There are a ton of neck-breaking techniques. But what generally happens in a fight, when one fighter starts applying that neck-breaking pressure, the other guy does this. He taps out because he doesn't want to die or end up paralyzed. It's pretty rare in MMA to see something like the twister. One, it's a fairly complex move. I really enjoy it, but it's taken me many years to master the twister, to get to the point where I can tap people out with that. For the average person just starting out, that's going to be a tough move to pull off. Against an evenly matched opponent in an MMA fight, where there's a whole lot more going on besides just grappling. Yeah, that's a hard move to pull off. I think in the UFC that's only happened once. In Bellator, I think it happened once. We see it sometimes at the local level. The twister right there. There have been other neck cranks. Man, I do neck cranks in the gym all the time. I always hear jiu-jitsu guys in jiu-jitsu classes, when one guy's trying a choke, like trying a Darce choke or a guillotine or something, and the other guy taps out, but he's all angry, and he's like, oh, that was more of a neck crank than a choke. Like trying to say, well, I only tapped because you were threatening my life as opposed to threatening my life in a different way. There's this weird stigma around neck breaking in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Like it's not a real fighting technique because it's not allowed under the IBJJF rules. It's weird. It's a weird stigma that also existed about leg locks for a very long time, and that's starting to change right now, even though a lot of leg locks are still illegal under IBJJF rules. In the olden days of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, there was this rivalry between the Luta Livre guys who did a lot of leg locks in Brazil and the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu guys who did not. Or not as much. And so it was considered low class. Doesn't take real skill to do that. Which is garbage. It's a garbage attitude, but that's a stigma that existed for decades. Up until recently, where some adventurous Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu practitioners realized, well, wait a minute, why would you ignore 50% of the human body? Thanks, John Danaher. And they realized, yeah, you can also win fights by breaking legs. Because that is half the body, right? But yeah, if you go to a jiu-jitsu gym, you choke somebody and it's more of a neck crank, they'll complain and they'll whine about it and they'll try to make you feel small about it. Like you did something wrong, like you sinned against God. But if you don't tap out to a neck crank, it will kill you. It will literally kill you. So tap out to those, man. Don't be too proud. I have a friend, and he was grappling, and he got caught in a neck crank, and he was like, it's not a real submission, and he didn't tap, and he's dealing with some nerve damage now. And that's sad. Man, that makes me sad every time I think about it. So tap early, tap often. Had another question. This guy said, my training partners say I tap too early. If you've only been training a month, tap on the side of caution, man. If you feel like something is going to snap or break or you're in a blackout, tap. When in doubt, tap out. When you get more experienced, you're going to learn the difference of when you can hold on a little bit longer and when you absolutely can't. But right now, err on the side of caution. Tap out. So, yeah, neck cranks, they do happen. But they look way different than the Hollywood Ninja neck snap. Next.